Go. Awesome. So we are live. We're going to wait for a couple people to hop on. I am live with Dr. Liam Schubel, everyone. So I am going to share this quickly and get it out to the people and my groups. And hopefully we will be able to spread the word and the message as far as it can go in chiropractic. So give me a moment here, Doc. And then we will hop right into things here. Awesome.
Perfect. I'll do some sharing on my own here as well.
Phenomenal. So, brief introduction here. Welcome to the Chiropractic Compass podcast and Facebook Lives. I'm your host, Johnny Reuter, and this is brought to you by the legendary chiropractor online community for chiropractic students and doctors wanting a little bit more out of this profession. So we're here tonight on this lovely, lovely Wednesday evening with Dr. Liam Schubel. Dr. Liam Schubel is a master of chiropractic, both internationally and domestically, and he pretty much runs the world in my eyes of chiropractic. And I'm honored and humbled that he is joining us tonight and I think he's Skyping in from New Jersey, if I'm not mistaken. But he's all over the place all the time, and I'm honored that he's given me a little bit of his time. So, Doc, go ahead and introduce yourself. Give a little brief history of how you got into chiropractic, and how this profession has treated you thus far.
Well, great. Thank you, Johnny, for the introduction. And I think if we were to go through all of my accolades, we might be going on for another hour. And I say that humbly. It's been my honor to serve the profession. I've been certainly rewarded. I think everything that I have in my life, with my children, my family, my finances, my time freedom, has been the result of understanding the philosophy, science, art, and the business of chiropractic. And so chiropractic has given me a lot, and I've chose to give back from that abundance. I'm a 1995 graduate from, I believe, your school. Are you down at Life University?
I am at Life, yes.
A lot of people say I'm probably one of the most famous Life University graduates, yet I have not yet spoken at assembly, which is a shock to me. I don't understand why.
We'll have to talk to the right people for you.
Okay, good. Yeah, maybe you have some contacts over there. But, so graduated in 1995, current owner now, 23 years of practice. I have 20 chiropractic offices worldwide. My business model is my closest chiropractic office is 1,500 miles away. The farthest one is 3,600 miles away. And in order to have those running like a Swiss watch, I need between 1 and 3 hours of my time every week. So I've developed systems in order to grow and scale people's practices. Started an online mentorship program, a fully interactive online web-based, secret Facebook page, masterminding group. Called schubelvisionelite.com that is really taking off. Our goal is to have 1,000 members that are fully trained and then can create that time freedom, abundance, and high clinical outcomes in their practices so that they could start to give back as well. Because, as we see in the chiropractic profession, there's a lot of lack mentality, and a lot of that has to do with not understanding the business components of chiropractic. I served for 8 years on the board of trustees at Sherman College of Chiropractic. I was the vice chairman of that board for quite some time. I'm a fellow in the College of Straight Chiropractors, which is an honorary organization that includes the likes of Dr. Joe Strauss, Dr. Reggie Gold, and many of the other people that we all know, hopefully, if we understand the philosophy of chiropractic, and people that have contributed to the profession in the past. I'm current president of the International Federation of Chiropractors and Organizations, which is the premier international organization completely and totally dedicated to the protection of that necessary right to have your spine checked, analyzed, and adjusted when necessary for vertebral subluxation. We protect that, and we also promote it. And we do a lot of work within the educational realm of chiropractic, the political realm of chiropractic, and the scientific realm, the research realm of chiropractic. And the goal is to ensure, we work on this big vision that every man, woman, and child on the planet someday will have the opportunity to have their spine checked for vertebral subluxation and adjusted when necessary from birth. And so that's really, in a nutshell, what I'm about. I'm a father of 4 beautiful children that have been checked and adjusted since birth. And I was having this conversation the other day. When you put them up against the other people in the school, they almost have a glow to them. It's a whole different ballgame. And that's really what I want to see for the world. Having an optimal life expression. You were mentioning, we were talking before, I had the founders of Sherman College of Chiropractic over here at the Schubel Mansion the other day in the People's Republic of New Jersey, Tom and Betty Gilardi, and they were telling me how chiropractic had changed their lives, and that was their impetus to start a chiropractic school, because they wanted to ensure that the profession in the world would have high quality chiropractors, so that other people could experience natural, optimized human expression. And that's, I think that's what really gets me up and drives me every moment of the day. And that's why when I received the invite for you, I'm a busy man, but I want to get this message to as many people as I can. And there's so many people suffering because they don't understand the value of chiropractic. And there's so many chiropractors that don't understand how to even explain the value of chiropractic. Yeah. There's so many students. I interview, because I have 20 chiropractic offices, and I have 25 chiropractic associates under my current employ, and I've trained well over 175 associates during the course of my experience. I'm constantly interacting with chiropractic students from around the world that apply for positions to work with me. And this is probably the worst moment in history I've ever seen. There's such a level of confusion as to who we are, what we do, and why in chiropractic. And I want to bring back that level of certainty that we have in the profession, and that level of value that a graduate of a chiropractic college should have in themselves and the profession that they're about to go into. Listen, we're crucial to the transformation and evolution of the planet, because we're the only doctors in the world that are highly trained to detect, analyze, and adjust vertebral subluxation. So we need to embrace that. We need to own it. We need to understand it. And then we need to be able to deliver the goods. And part of that, you and I were having this conversation. We often hear of chiropractic as like a three-legged stool, right? It's got the philosophy, the science, and the art. I don't know if you've ever sat on a three-legged stool. Sometimes that's a little wobbly. I kind of like a four-legged chair, you know what I mean? So we added another leg to it, and I really believe that business, the business component of chiropractic, is highly crucial to the success of chiropractic, to the abundance of chiropractic. And so that's what we've brought back into the profession, and that's what we've worked with the SchubelVisionElite.com, that online mentorship program, work to bring doctors of chiropractic and students of chiropractic up to par on their business systems. We used to be driven by personality-driven practices, and that's no longer working. You want to show me somebody with a high level of financial abundance, a high level of time freedom, and a high level of clinical outcomes. I'm going to show you somebody who doesn't have a personality-driven based practice. I'm going to show you somebody who has a systems-based practice. Yeah. And that's huge. The first book that kind of, lobbed a grenade into the business world was The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. And that was one of the books that highly influenced my development in business. Because, frankly, I was a sole practitioner. I was seeing 1,000 visits a week, and I couldn't see any more people. And so I said, I'll just bring somebody else down. And look, if I could do it, anyone could do it. Yeah. And I found that the first associate I brought down flopped flat on their face. And I said, well, how come it's because they weren't me, right? I had a personality-driven practice, and they couldn't be me. Right. So because of that, I got that book, Michael Gerber's E-Myth, and I started to develop the systems. I analyzed myself and what I was doing, and then broke those components of business systems down so that, you could train just about anybody who had a will and a way to be successful. Tony Robbins has a saying, success leaves clues. And what I believe in chiropractic business, you have to model yourself after people that have systems that have been successful over a period of time. Not the fly-by-night guys, not the guys who've never been in the trenches. You're talking about somebody that has developed 20 chiropractic offices, and they exist to this day, and we continue to expand. That's not fly-by-night. That's not overnight. And by the way, we've used these systems now because some people said, oh, well, those systems are successful because you're in such and such area. That argument, like, oh, you're successful because the people over there are better than the people over where I'm at. And what we find is that even in the United States now, in Europe, in Australia and Asia, when people apply these same business systems, and I'm looking forward to the day the African people start to apply these business systems, what they're going to find is that all of a sudden the people in their community are the same as the people in our community, because it's not the people in the end. It's the systems that you have in your practice. And I think that the value of your practice is determined by the quality of your systems. And that's what we strive to continually improve.
Absolutely, Doc. Thank you so much for starting us off there. Dr. Liam Schubel, everyone. We are live here. He's in New Jersey right now. I am in Atlanta, Georgia, and this is the Chiropractic Compass podcast. Dr. Liam, I want to talk a little bit. One, I have E-Myth actually sitting on my nightstand right now. I'm about 40 pages or so in, and I absolutely am loving the book, the content. But as a student, I find sometimes that when I read business-related books, especially like E-Myth, I find them hard to relate to my personal life right now. And how can you just expand briefly on that just real quick before we hop into major stuff here?
I tell you this, Jonathan, I couldn't have written a better script as a lead-in to what I have to say next. That's the challenge, isn't it? Is to take that corporate business mindset and then move it into our chiropractic world. And the first book I wrote, and by the way, just so you know, I hate writing books. It's like giving birth. I can't stand it. But I've done it because I've seen the need. There's a need for it. The first book I wrote was Cast to Be Chiropractors, and that's available on Amazon.com. That was all about the mindset. What was the mindset behind growing and scaling these practices? How to develop this passion for chiropractic and this passion to serve. And what I found in people that read this book, and people still rave about it, people tell me, you know what, I was going to quit chiropractic college, and I read your book, and I said, okay, I'm on the right track. I just had the wrong mindset. I've had people saying, I was going to quit my chiropractic practice, but then I read your book, and it flipped around the way I'm thinking. And we know change thinking changes everything. We know think and grow rich. So I call Cast to Be Chiropractors kind of like the application of Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich to chiropractic. Then what I found, and if you ask any one of the people that speak from chiropractic stages, and I've spoken just about every chiropractic stage on the world, you'll find that the attendees will show up and they will get so spizzed and so excited. They'll reconnect with the why behind why they got into chiropractic. And so they go back into their practice, and then after a week or two, they start failing again. And they say, I can't wait for the next seminar to come around so I can get spizzed up or get excited. I have to tell you, what'll get you spizzed and excited is to have a successful business. And you can't have a successful business just by being excited about it. You must have the appropriate business system. So what I found was Cast to Be Chiropractors developed the why behind the successful practice of chiropractic, but what people were lacking was the how. How do you do it? How do you develop these systems? And like you stated, okay, I read the E-Myth, but how do you apply that to the chiropractic business systems? Mm-hmm. And that's why I developed the book Schubel's Holy Grail of Business. And that I just released that in December. And what people are telling me, again, is I've never looked at my chiropractic practice in this way. Yeah. In other words, there's a specific syntax or there's a specific series of action steps that you need to be taking every single day if you want to grow and scale your chiropractic business. But if you don't know even where to start, this is what people say, where do I start? And one of the things we have in the SchubelVisionElite.com, the online mentorship program, when people join up, we have a series of emails that they get and action steps that say, okay, you've just joined us. Welcome aboard. Where do I start? Start with this, this, and this. And we build people up from a solid foundation. And that's one of the challenges. There's a lot of online mentorship programs, but a lot of times people are working on certain aspects of your business system. So they might be working on marketing, or they might be working on sales. But listen, in order to develop a successful business, you can't just focus on one component. You have to focus on every component, and you have to build a solid substructure to all that. So we focus on, for example, the 5 core elements in Schubel's Holy Grail of Business. Number 1 is mindset. Number 2 is marketing. Number 3 is conversion, what some people would call sales. Mm-hmm. Number 4 is communication. And then number 5 is hiring, training, and motivation of staff. And so if you have those 5 core fundamentals, if you have those compartmentalized, systematized, and you have ways that you can analyze the production in each one of those levels, then by nature, by natural law, you have a game plan or a blueprint on how to optimize, grow, and expand your practice. And so that's what we go into, and we elaborate in Schubel's Holy Grail of Business. That book's available on Amazon.com. And, Johnny, I'm sure you've heard in chiropractic, there's the green books, right? Written
Absolutely.
by Dr. B.J. Palmer.
Yep.
Joe Strauss, Dr. Joe Strauss wrote the blue books. They're calling now Schubel's books the red books. So we have, our books are red. We have the Cast to Be Chiropractors, which is the mindset, the Think and Grow Rich of chiropractic. And then we have Schubel's Holy Grail of Business. That is the how to make it happen, how to grow and scale your practice through the efficient use of business systems.
Yeah, absolutely. And how important is it, right, to have people around you that are after the same goal and have the same vision, like your mentorship program, right? That once you read a book or once you're like, how do I start? Where do I start? You have other people to rely on and talk to and bounce ideas off of, instead of just like getting back from a seminar and throwing noodles at a wall and seeing what sticks with your practice, like with your patients and with your practice. I don't think that's really how it works. And I think that having a mentorship program is a huge success for people, I feel like.
Well, Johnny, in the book Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill talks about the massive value that having a mastermind, a group of like-minded individuals with a common vision or a common purpose. Henry Ford had no idea how to build an automobile. He had the vision of how to make that happen, right?
Yep.
And then he compartmentalized all the systems in order to bring an automobile to fruition. In the SchubelVisionElite.com mentorship program, we actually have a secret Facebook page where all our members get on board. And like we had just today in the group, somebody was saying, hey, how do you feel? What do you feel about this issue? And then everybody talked about it from the slant from Europe, from the slant from the United States. Oh, don't forget about this when you're dealing with this in Australia. So there's so many different components, and success sometimes is like an onion, and you're peeling back all these layers. And we even find from a mental aspect, there's something very powerful, and there's a way to avoid depression. A lot of chiropractors get depressed because they get in their own little pity party. And we've had people bring, certain, let's say, negative mindset issues that they have to the group, and we all work on that and we support it. And so it's not like one of these groups where you might bring up your philosophy and then all of a sudden people attack you. You're afraid to say something.
Right.
We've had people say off the wall stuff in our group. But you know what we have is one common mission to ensure that every single person in this group rises to the next level. Because this is the whole thing about it, Johnny. People's lives depend on this. And this is the thing. When you truly understand the power of chiropractic, you understand that today, because people don't know this chiropractic message, and because chiropractors can't deliver it efficiently and effectively and in a way that brings them the financial abundance to be even more powerful at delivering the message, people die as a result of not hearing about the chiropractic message. There's folks today that are on the operating table that didn't have to be because they didn't know about the chiropractic message. There's people that are going to be paralyzed for the rest of their lives because no one ever told them about chiropractic. And there's people that are just completely toxified, and I feel so bad for their children because they've never been told the chiropractic message. So once you understand the big idea, as Dr. B.J. Palmer talked about, then you have a moral obligation. And this is one of the things that people say, Schubel, you don't ever have to work again another day in your life. Why do you keep doing this? And like when you talk about the SchubelVisionElite.com, like the membership is $75 a month. People say, you're not making any money. You're giving away your systems. And I wanted to have a low buy-in so that people could, and by the way, it's no contract, so people could cancel at any time. I have to produce value for them. I wanted to have a buy-in that everybody in the profession could do this because I want every single person in this profession to be successful. Yeah. Now, I found in offering free advice, Johnny, because I could do it for free, but what I found was when you offer free advice, guess what it's worth?
Nothing.
People don't apply the thing. So, if I at least have them have some kind of financial investment, they have more of a tendency to apply the tips, tools, and strategies that we provide in the SchubelVisionElite.com. So there's a method to my madness. And one of the things that I love is, I'm looking at chiropractors that were thinking about quitting. I'm looking at chiropractors that were 22 years in practice, and they've been with us 6 months, and they've had their best 6 months in their entire career in chiropractic. What's changed?
Yeah.
They're the same people as they were before that were driving a personality-driven practice. What changed was they are implementing time-tested systems that we know work. There's this whole thing, this talk about $1 million practice, and a lot of mentorship groups are talking about $1 million practice and developing $1 million practice. Listen, to me, $1 million practice means nothing, because I know people that have $1 million practices, Johnny, that have $999,000 worth of overhead. So, they're making $1,000 a year, but they're bragging that they have $1 million practice. The people that are applying our systems, we're shooting for $1 million net. And that's what we have, practitioners that have $1 million net income. And that's all I care about. All I ever talk about is net. My brother here is, as a chiropractic officer in the United States, he goes, Schubel, nobody, he calls me Schubel. He says, Schubel, nobody talks gross, net here. Everybody talks gross. And I said, well, that's gross. Who cares about gross? Gross means nothing. Yeah. All I care about is net, because that's money in your pocket. That's financial power. That's political power. And that's the power that we need to fund the scientific research, to fund the educational programs in chiropractic, and to fund the political process. As part of the IFCO, we were just down, our administrative director, Jen Steinberg, was just down preparing to testify in the state of Florida, in Gainesville, and she was at the Capitol. And I got to tell you, the representatives from that Kaiser Chiropractic Medical Program in Florida, they were there too. Mm-hmm. And they have a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And some of those senators that are on that health committee were talking to our lobbyists and saying, you know what? I can't vote with you guys. Not because it's not the right thing to do. It's because these guys fund me. They fund my campaigns. So what you find in politics, and I can tell you this is no conspiracy theory here, is money is everything. In that book or in that movie, Scarface, right? Al Pacino says, when he asks about how to be successful in the United States, he says, first you get the money, then you get the power, and then he said, then you get the women. That might be the case, but what's important to me is the money and the power, and those two things have to go hand in hand. And that's what I'm sick and tired of seeing chiropractors that are suffering financially when they just don't have to. Right. And so that's why we created these systems. And then I see chiropractors that, like you look in Australia, that now they're not allowed to be taking care of children under 2 years of age. And I'm saying, somebody's got to stand up for this. And this is why the IFCO, our research committee in the IFCO, put out a very powerful statement and sent it to the directors of the board in Australia saying, listen, just because you're unaware of the research that exists that shows that chiropractic is not only safe, but it's highly effective for newborns. And by the way, Dr. Monique Andrews, Dr. Mo knows, Dr. Monique Andrews teaches at Life West, and she's an expert in science. One of the things she says is that according to all the research, and by the way, not even chiropractic research, but it's crucial to the development of a child's brain to have those connections from the date of birth. Some of the most powerful neural connections are being made within the first 2 years of life. Yeah. So to deny chiropractic care to children in the first 2 years of life, that's actually dangerous to do that, and so that, what they're trying to protect against is something that they don't understand. Right. And that's why an organization like the IFCO is so vitally important.
Absolutely, Doc. Absolutely. I love listening to you talk. I'm taking notes. I love it. So let's hop into now the actual business systems, right? Let's hop in. Whatever you're willing to share with us from a standpoint of outside of Schubel Vision Elite, what are some ways and some action things that people can do now in their practice to say, step back, look at their practice, and realize, okay, here's where I have my faults, and let's go ahead and correct those. What are some system details that people can start implementing today?
Perfect. So there's two systems that I recommend that people ensure that they're working on in order to grow their practice immediately. One is marketing, right? Because that's bringing new people into the funnel, bringing new people into the practice. The other one is conversion, right? Because you could bring in 1,000 new ones, and if you only sign up 20 of them, that's not the best thing for those practice members, and it's certainly not the best thing for your business. So as far as marketing, one of the things I often say is that in any business, or the power of any business, is that ability to drive new people in. And if you were going fishing, and the law allowed you to have 5 fishing lines in the water versus 1, which one would you choose?
Probably 5.
Right. You'd be insane to just choose one, right? So, because what happens if you get snagged with that one, you don't have anything else left. But if you have 5, you have 4 other ways to bring things in. And that's what I think the big mistake we're seeing today is that a lot of people, for laziness or for misunderstanding, they're relying on purely on social media to drive people into your practice. Now, the challenge with social media is that you're bringing in a lot of unqualified leads into your practice. So you're wasting a lot of time, and you're wasting a lot of people's time, and your conversion rates many times are not at a high level. A lot of people talk bad about spinal screenings, what we call educational boosts in the process. And there's 2 reasons why I see people talk negatively about them. One is they say, you know what, when I do that, I feel like I'm selling chiropractic, like I'm a used car salesman, or, you know what, I just don't want to spend the time and energy on my weekend doing that. I get both of those points, but both of those points are from a state of ignorance. Number one, if you have a system to do spinal screenings, what we call educational booths, that system can be done. And this is one of the things that we hear all the time in the SchubelVisionElite.com system is, you know, Doc, it was so simple what you said. It was so truthful what you said. I didn't have to convince them. I didn't have to bait and switch them. And you know what? I didn't feel like I was selling them anything. I was just educating them and letting them make the decision. And the people that came into my office as a result of those educational booth, they came in knowing why they were coming in there in the first place. So I didn't have to kind of bait and switch them to get them in. So they love that. Now, the other thing is we have everything online. So let's say you don't like to do spinal screenings or you don't like to have an educational booth. We have docs that train somebody else to do that. So they're spending their weekend out at the fair, and you're enjoying the benefits of the results of that. So it's kind of like, you know, another tip that I have for people is that right now the fastest growing market in the United States is the Spanish-speaking market. The Hispanic market keeps breaking all the records for marketing and for sales and for everything. Every business in the United States has a division solely geared towards the Hispanic market, except chiropractors. We're out of our minds crazy, right? So we don't have the system. And here's what I hear. I don't know how to speak Spanish. Okay, well, this is what losers do, right? They focus on what they don't have instead of what they do have. You don't have to speak Spanish. Listen, I always say when you're hiring a CA, one of the biggest mistakes you can make is to hire a CA that only speaks one language. Why would you do that? Why not hire somebody that speaks Spanish, right? You're going to pay them the same amount. Now they speak Spanish, and then you train them to do these systems to bring people into your office and to educate them. And listen, if you know how to adjust, that's all you need to know. Maybe a boca abajo, de costado, you know, a couple of, like, move over to the left and right. That's all you need to know. Everything else you could do with a bilingual CA. So this is where people are. And so now let me bring this back to the business component. And by the way, that's just two things I think I just shared with you. The educational booths and the hiring of a CA. Let me bring this back to the business component. So somebody told me the other day, I don't like to do spinal screenings. I said, okay. So I talked to one of our group members that just started doing spinal screenings last year. And I said, last year, how many new practice members, I'm talking signed on the dotted line, they bought chiropractic care plans. How many did you have? 185. So I say to myself as a business person, 185 new practice members. Now, depending on the case fee, that could be anywhere from $250,000 to $500,000 worth of income. As a business person, because you think you feel uncomfortable with doing spinal screenings, or because you don't know how to do them correctly, you're going to leave that money on the table, $250,000 to $500,000 because you're ignorant? Hey, that's not smart business, right? Now, from a humanitarian standpoint, you're going to leave 185 people in your community subluxated because you don't understand how educational booths work, you don't know how to do them effectively, and you don't know how to delegate them? What are you, out of your mind? How do you expect to be successful in business? How do you expect to get chiropractic to the masses if you don't understand that? Now, by the way, Johnny, that's just one component of marketing that we teach in the SchubelVisionElite.com system, you know, for $75 a month. If you just got that, you know, $75 a month, $250,000 to $500,000 worth of income a year. I don't know. See if it's a good investment for you, right? Cancel anytime. So that's just one component. That's just one component of our systems. And we have multiple components in order to drive people into the practice. And that's what people have to start focusing on. So, Johnny, I hope I answered your question. The other one is conversion, and a lot of the conversion has to do with the value of the scripting that you do in your office. And a lot of people say, I don't like scripting. I go, well, that's because you're a loser, right? You don't understand that we've studied neuro-linguistic programming, and we've put those certain terms into the scripting so that we get the same result every time. And you watch, we've done, thousands of hours of interviews with my associates and videos of them with real live practice members. And you can watch the physiology of the practice member based on certain word choices that the doctor uses. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So you watch a person go from this, to this, and that's all just by languaging. So
right.
The idea that you wouldn't use that is insane from a business standpoint, and it's insane from a humanitarian standpoint, because what we want in the end, as Eminem said, you only got one shot, right? You only got one shot. If you don't convert them to a life of chiropractic care, they're going to go back into the world of taking pills, of putting injections, and chopping things out of their body.
Yep.
That's a serious thing.
Yeah.
And that's what, I joke around a lot, Johnny. I'm very humorous. My stage presence is entertaining. I do a lot of edutainment, but never misunderstand the seriousness behind what we're doing in chiropractic. People's lives are on the line. You can't just be throwing the dice with people's lives. And that's why your chiropractic systems is way more important than your financial wherewithal. It's way more important than the amount of time freedom that you're going to have. We're talking about clinical outcomes, and we're talking about optimizing the human expression for everyone on this planet. That's the big idea.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So with business systems, with all of these things now in your practice, you got it, you're crushing it. And when you're netting, say $1 million, whatever your net is, what do you do with the money? What political organizations? What are you investing back into your office? What are you investing back into your CAs? Things like that. So let's talk a little bit about those. Let's talk about office investments, and then let's talk about politics and how important that is.
Great. So office investments, you should always have top line, top level of everything. Basically, the most expensive that you can afford. Now, but let's be clear. I think starting out, you should start at the minimal level. A lot of people put they have a lot of fancy gizmos and a lot of fancy. Listen, to start out, you need a chiropractic table and a computer system and an X-ray unit and some tables and a front desk. So many people put so much time and energy into what their office looks like. Oh, the walls should be green or blue or whatever. Listen. None of that matters if you have nobody in your practice. And this is what I've seen with some of the other practice gurus. They focus on so much on, the wall should be this color. The poster should look like this. And these people have like the nicest office on the planet with nobody in it. You can hear the crickets, there's no practice members.
Yep.
So the initial investment should be in marketing. It should be bringing people into the office. Now, once that starts to grow, you want to reinvest back into the office and make everything top level, top notch. That being said, now we have the office. And now the second component you mentioned is the staff. We want to make sure that our staff are the highest paid in the region. But we're going to be demanding from them. And we're going to provide them systems, and we're going to provide them a way to analyze how they're producing along that system. We have a series of checklists that basically during the training process and in the evaluation process, the person either gives themselves a raise or fires themselves because they know exactly what's expected of them, and then they know if they've met those goals or they met the requirements to do the job effectively. Yeah. So that's the importance of that. Now, what we find is that once people start to do very well in chiropractic and their office is looking beautiful, their staff is well paid, then they say, hey, I want to give back to the profession because everything I have in my life has been given to me through chiropractic. And I don't think you should wait till that point. I think you should start this idea of tithing right now. I think as a student, you should be giving back because the universe gives to those who give. There's a giving and receiving component. So there's three legs of importance that we should be focused on in chiropractic. And in my view, if you say you're a chiropractor or you say you're a chiropractic student and you're not supporting these three things in the littlest way, even if it's $1 a month, in the littlest way, you're not really truly a committed chiropractic student or chiropractic professional. The first component is political. Now, I don't like politics, Johnny. I don't like it at all. Okay, I don't. People are like, oh, Schubel, you're really good at politics. No, I understand the importance of politics, and I've gotten somewhat decent at it just from experience. I don't like politics. I hate politics. But here's what I understand. Everything that you love in this world can be taken away from you through politics. Mm-hmm. So you either control the political game or you're controlled by the political game. And we see that not only in chiropractic, we see that in the vaccine world. If tomorrow the political machine says, Johnny, you, in order to attend Life University, you're going to need 60 vaccinations. Show me the information now. We've taken away the religious component. We've taken away the philosophical objection. You must do this. Then you've got two options, Johnny. You either break the law or you comply.
Yeah.
Right?
So
everything you love. If tomorrow they say, Johnny, you can no longer in your practice detect, analyze, and adjust vertebral subluxation, your practice is going to be regulated to manipulating stuck joints, or your practice is going to be regulated to other things, and you'll have to. Part of your scope now is going to include giving drugs to practice members, or giving them vaccines. Whatever the politics says, you're going to have to do,
right,
or you're going to have to leave the country. Right. So I understand that everything that I have in this world could be taken away from me politically. So students, you should be a member of the IFCO right now. I think it's $50 for the entire time you're in chiropractic school. It's insane. So there's like no excuse that you can't not be in that, because I know you spend more than that on the weekend drinking. So for the entire course of your chiropractic existence, you can be involved in the IFCO and be part of the solution. There's just a good karma about that. So politics, the IFCO, the International Federation of Chiropractors and Organizations, you can go to www.ifcochiro.org and you can get involved in that immediately. Education is the other component, and I'm a big supporter of chiropractic educational institutions. Right now, a lot of my money is supporting Sherman College of Chiropractic. I'm very much behind Scotland. There's a new chiropractic school in Scotland that's being formed. There's also another vitalistic school in Australia that's being formed. We got to get behind these movements for education, because the quality of our graduates is going to be determined by the quality of their education.
Yeah.
And I think if we each tithe back a portion of our abundance, then chiropractic colleges will dominate. They won't be at the they won't be begging for money. They'll be having abundance of money. They shouldn't be begging for money. I tell you, if you do this in chiropractic, you should never have to worry about money in the rest of your life. So,
right.
This is the thing, and this is what I've been trying to get into the chiropractic colleges, are these business systems so that their graduates can be successful, pay back their loans, and have an abundant lifestyle. And then the third component is research, because, research and politics are driven, they're hand in hand. So we need to make sure that we're fully funded. The IFCO just put out a very powerful paper, our research committee, absolutely disproving completely any of the claims that chiropractic is any way, shape, or form related to strokes. There's still chiropractic students that believe that chiropractic is dangerous in some way. They think they're going to stroke out a patient. It's insane. One of the things that we created down in Peru was the bestmissiontripever.com, and I love that. We have students that come from all over the world, and they go down to Peru, and there's these lines of thousands of people waiting to get checked and adjusted if necessary. And I tell you, the first day, the students are shaking with nerves, and they're saying, what do I do? What do I do? And it's like, well, we're going to check these people. If they have vertebral subluxation, we're going to adjust them. And then that's all we do. We don't have any machines to plug in here. We don't have any fancy, technology. That's what we're going to do. And I tell you, the second day, third day, these people start coming back and reporting all these, quote, miracles, which is really just physiology expressing itself as it should when the body's functioning without a vertebral subluxation. And then by the end of the week, the same student that was scared to death is saying, hey, doc, let's go into the hospital and get everybody out of there. Come on. It's like it's a transformation in mindset. So I think a lot of times in the schools, what we find is that students are being taught fear. And that fear is out of ignorance, because I can tell you, one of the most powerful presentations, I remember sitting at Life University, and I was very spizzed up about the philosophy of chiropractic, but I wasn't so sure in the science. And I remember Dr. Christopher Kent and Dr. Patchen Temple came in, and they spoke to our class. They were doing a program called Chiropractic Without a Doubt. and they showed the MRIs, they showed the functional MRIs, they showed, all the scientific research that backed it up, and that was all I needed. I said, great. I had an understanding of this with the philosophy, but now I see the science is completely married to the philosophy. And that's what you'll see. A lot of people just talking philosophy or just talking science, the two go together.
Yeah.
Here's the why, the philosophy, here's the how. And that's what we need to unite. And then the art is the expression of the why and the how, the chiropractic adjustment. That's how you deliver the goods.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then the business, the fourth leg.
That's where I come in. Because the fact of the matter is the science doesn't matter, the art doesn't matter, the philosophy doesn't matter if you're bankrupt. You really can make no impact on the planet if you have to shut your doors to your office down. And that's where we really do need to marry those. We need to start with a good foundation of philosophy, science, art, and then marry that all in business. And one of the things that people love about the SchubelVisionElite.com business systems is that they really are congruent with chiropractic philosophy. And there's so many systems that they bait and then they switch. They do these hardcore, some people would call it sales, but they do, and they say, you know what, I feel like I'm selling to people. I feel like I'm a used car salesman. What people say is, you know, all I do is inform these people, and their head just is shaking yes. And I'm like, yes, they're shaking yes because we've already done the NLP, the neuro-linguistic programming studies. The words that you're using are bouncing into that patient or practice member's physiology, and the only correct response is yes. The only congruent response is yes. And so that's what we talk about in the systems in the SchubelVisionElite.com program.
Yeah. Yeah, and when I think I watched a video the other day with Dr. Tim Young, and he talked all about how his retention rate is phenomenal and all this stuff. But he was like, I just tell people the truth. I tell them what they need. I tell them how I'm going to help them or how I can and cannot help them. And I'll tell them the benefits of chiropractic. And then I'll leave it at that. It's their decision, right? It's up to them to make the conscious decision. Yes, chiropractic's for me. And then when you talk about linguistics and everything like that, it adds a whole nother layer and a whole nother component to it. But truth, just speak truth. And it's not that you have to sit there, open a green book, and start educating and reading BJ quotes to these people.
Right.
It's literally just telling them about anatomy, physiology, basic human function, right? And that's the thing that I don't think a lot of people and students especially don't understand when it comes to communication. So how important is communicating the chiropractic message?
Well, it's vital.
Yeah.
You look at any profession, Johnny, the top earners in every single profession on the planet are those who communicate the best. And I think one of the big errors that we see in chiropractic movements today is this idea that there's some kind of conspiracy that we need to bash medicine in order to bring ourselves up. Biggest mistake on the planet, you know?
Yeah.
And I tell you, we sound like lunatics. You know, we sound like absolute lunatics to our practice members. And we wonder, how come they're not staying with us? How come we're not retaining them for life? It's because you're bashing the very same people that have frankly saved their lives. And, you know, medicine, one of the things it does very well is it buys innate intelligence time, right? If you're in a crisis situation, right? If I'm having a heart attack right now, yes, I would like to have my nervous system cleared out. I would like to have an adjustment, but I'd also like to have a heart surgeon to clear out the blockage in my coronary artery, right? Yep. So to bash medicine is absolute insanity. And, you know, here's what I find with chiropractic practice members is that when you speak the truth, they come to their own conclusions. They say, right, because this is what we talk about, it would make sense, wouldn't it, in your life to choose for your health care the least invasive options for your health, right? Nobody would go right to the most invasive, right? It would make sense to go to the most conservative and the least invasive, rather than to go to the most invasive and the least conservative or the most radical. And people say, yes, that makes total sense. Well, here's what the great part of chiropractic is. We don't add anything to the body. We don't subtract anything to the body. What we do is we realign these misaligned spinal bones, fancy word is subluxation, vertebral subluxation, so that the natural life force between the brain cell and the tissue cell can be connected. And that intelligence that runs your body while you're alive can now do it more optimally. So doesn't it make sense, if health is an important value to you, doesn't it make sense to ensure for you, for your children, for your entire family, for your life, doesn't it make sense to ensure that there is always 100% connection between the brain cell and the tissue cell in your body? I've yet to find somebody, Johnny, who says, no, that makes no sense at all. I'd actually prefer to drug myself.
In fact, no, I don't want any of
that. So did I bash medicine at all?
No.
I just talked about what it is that we do that's great, and I talked about the difference in philosophies, and then they can make the choice.
Yeah.
And frankly, we're in a movement right now worldwide where people are recognizing that the healthcare system is bankrupt. And that's not a United States thing. I travel around the world, and almost every country, and I've testified in front of governmental bodies in multiple countries. And what I found in every single time, I ask them, I say, hey, how's your healthcare system? Is it abundant financially, or is it bankrupt? And they usually say bankrupt, or, we're hurting. And I say, did you ever consider that it could be because of the philosophy that you're using towards healthcare? That in all the time that we've spent treating symptoms, treating disease, treating infirmity, treating the effects of a body that's not functioning correctly, did you ever consider if we could develop a salutogenic model of healthcare where we focused on what helps people to function optimally? And we started to implement strategies, new strategies, to bring about a higher level of, get this, adaptability, right? The same toxins are in the environment. The same stressors are in the environment. But what would happen if the human body could adapt better to all those stressors? Because it's not the stressor that causes the disease. It's the inability of the body's innate intelligence to adapt to that stressor. And vertebral subluxation impedes or lowers down the body's innate resistance to those external stressors. And that's what we need to focus on. That's where chiropractic is not about health. A lot of people think it is. Chiropractic is a contribution. We have a unique contribution to health, and that is our objective. The objective is detect, analyze, and adjust vertebral subluxation. Now, there's a lot of chiropractors that do a lot of different other things in their office, and that's great. If you have a passion for that, phenomenal. But I got to tell you, the one thing that makes us unique that you can't get from a multi-level marketing weekend is the detection, analysis, and adjustment of vertebral subluxation. And I think that if more chiropractors were experts at that, they might not be looking at those other things that anybody can do on a weekend seminar to add extra income to their practice. Yeah. I have to tell you, I saw 1,000 people a week in active practice. All I did was detect, analyze, and adjust vertebral subluxation. I had no extra time for that other stuff. And that's, by the way, people came to me all the time saying, you know what? I've been to so many other chiropractors, right? I've been to so many other chiropractors, and you're the first one who told me the truth and who detected, analyzed, and adjusted my vertebral subluxations. Yeah. Thank you for that. Imagine this. As a chiropractor, your unique selling proposition versus other chiropractors is that you actually detect, analyze, and adjust vertebral subluxation. That's how sick our profession has gotten. That's like a unique thing.
Oh, makes me sad. It makes me really sad. But that's why I'm at Life University. That's why got in touch with you, wanted you to bring me on the show. That's exactly why, is because your message is powerful, and you have faith in what still is and what still can be, right, with chiropractic, because it's not gone, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. By
the way, let me just, I appreciate you saying that. Let me just say, I don't have faith. I have absolute understanding.
Yes.
And that's what I think. A lot of people have this idea that chiropractic is a belief system and that we have to, hey, listen, I believe in innate intelligence. That's not a belief system. Yeah. That's totally backed up by science.
Yeah.
And so, here's the thing. Being Life University's most famous graduate in the history of the profession, I can tell you that what this profession needs is more understanding of the science, philosophy, art, and business of chiropractic. Yep. Once we get that, guess what we gain? Certainty.
Yep.
And the founder, I'll never forget this, Johnny, and I'm so glad you brought this up. When I was a student sitting in your shoes, I used to have the founder of Life College at the time, and now it's Life University, Dr. Sid Williams used to come and he would speak to our class. And he used to say in his southern, where are you from, Johnny?
I'm from Chicago.
Okay, I'm from New Jersey, so we're Yankees, right?
Absolutely.
So Sid was a good old Southern boy from Cabbagetown, okay? And by the way, he was worth $300 million at the time, which at that time, that was a lot of money, okay? So I respected this guy and I admired him. And he had 20-something clinics in Atlanta. And he used to come and he'd speak to us and he would say, boy, you got to learn how to talk with authority. I'd be like, what? Talk with authority? What do you do? Boy, I'll speak in Northern now. Boy, you have to learn how to talk with authority.
Yeah.
And I never understood the importance of that until I got out and practiced. And I got to tell you, with a lot of the associates I see, the biggest thing they lack is a self-esteem, is that understanding, right? There's a big difference between I believe in chiropractic and I understand and know chiropractic. When you understand it, and this is one of the things we teach in the SchubelVisionElite.com system, your nonverbal communication is crucial for a practice member's buying into your system. No matter what you think, you're projecting with a nice suit, a nice tie, you've got a nice office, all that doesn't matter. They're reading your nonverbal communication, and your nonverbal communication can rat you out every single time if you're not certain on what you're doing. And so that's why that's another component of business systems is developing a mindset of absolute certainty so that when you walk into that practice member interaction, and by the way, in medicine, they've done studies with this. There's actually Harvard University is sending their graduates to, get this, acting school so that they can learn how to act like they're more compassionate, right? So they can act like they're more empathetic. It's hilarious, right? So the idea, though, is that what they found is that clinical outcomes are highly subjective to the practitioner's level of perceived certainty. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
So if you want to have a higher level of clinical outcomes, it's not just the chiropractic adjustment, it's your verbal and nonverbal communication. And that's why, we focus on that in the SchubelVisionElite.com system, because your clinical outcomes can even be determined by that. And sometimes, people say, oh, Schubel, you're all about the money. Listen, I think money's phenomenal, but I think money should come from a phenomenal level of service. And a phenomenal level of service comes from a high level of clinical outcomes. And so all that is related to communication, to mindset, the marketing, the conversion. All that has to be congruent. And then your staff has to back you up on that with your hiring, training, and motivational processes.
Absolutely. So I want to say this one phrase that I think that you nailed on the head. The adjustment is enough, right? I don't think that you go to all these international countries and foreign countries and you set up mission trips and you adjust, and students are doing it on a weekly, monthly basis, going on mission trips, adjusting hundreds of thousands of people. And you talk about nonverbals, talk about the adjustment being enough. You don't have to say anything. All you have to do is point at your table. They understand, and then you adjust them. Those two things are enough, right? And you hit that right on the nose. It's like the nonverbal component on top of the adjustment. I mean, you master those two things. It's a no-brainer, right? It's a home run.
Johnny, right on the money. And here's the thing: what cracks me up a lot of times with chiropractors. With their family, do you know all they do, Johnny, if you can believe this, all they do with their family, as far as their family at home, is detect, analyze, and adjust their vertebral subluxations. Yet when they go into the practice, they have all these other things, right? It's like, wait a minute. If all these other things are so important, how come you don't have it all at your house, or you're not bringing your entire family to be worked on by these machines, or to be sold these different products, or how come you don't? And this is the level of congruency. Is that I do, and when I talk to my practice members, we see volume, and I say, listen, this may seem when you first walk in like a factory line, like people are coming in, they're coming out, let me explain to you who the most important people are in my life. Now, this is the power of communication, and this strategy is called pre-framing, Johnny.
Okay.
So, let me explain to you who the most important people in my life are. No offense, it's not you people. That's always like, what? It's my children. And then everybody that has children go, oh, yeah, well, of course. I say, how long do you think it takes me to properly detect, analyze, and adjust vertebral subluxations for them? Do you think if it took an hour, I would spend an hour with them? And everybody's like, yeah. If it took 2 hours, would I spend 2 hours with them? Yes. Do you know how long it takes me to check, analyze, and adjust vertebral subluxations at a high level with my children, who are the most important people in my life? It takes me a minute or 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So why am I spending more time with you, right? Maybe with some of you, I'm spending more time because you're decrepit, you haven't seen a chiropractor in 50, 75 years, your spine's rotten, you can't move over, you lack flexibility, you're in a lot of pain, yeah, you might need more time. But really, to detect, analyze, and adjust vertebral subluxation at a high level, I don't need a lot of time. And so the benefit to you is you're not going to have to spend your whole day in a chiropractic office. You're going to be able to come into this office, get exactly what you can't get in any other office, because there's nobody that delivers a chiropractic adjustment like I do. You can't get this anywhere else, and you're going to be able to get in and get out, and then guess what? Your body does the healing anyway. You think if I could control the healing right now, right? If I was, Jesus Schubel, right? If I could do all the healing, I would just touch you and you'd be done. Right. I'm not a sadist. I don't like to see you suffering. But Principle 6 in chiropractic says healing takes time. What I do is I remove that interference. I remove those blockages to the nerve system, reconnect the brain cell to the tissue cell so that the innate intelligence, the inborn wisdom of your body can do its magic, that can restore the physiology. And that's what we're talking about, restoring life force. We're not talking about stimulation. We're not talking about inhibiting stuff. We want to restore your body's natural innate ability to heal and function optimally.
Absolutely.
How do you like me now?
I love it, Doc. I love it. I love the fire. I want to circle back quickly about alternative healthcare. And you mentioned briefly, like you said that chiropractic is the future. Alternative healthcare, I think, and people are opening their eyes, right? They really are seeing the true power of preventative care versus reactive care. And I think that's really powerful. And I think that chiropractors need to insert and be the authority in this division of alternative healthcare if we're not already. And I don't think necessarily that we are. I don't think that we're out there enough. I don't think that we're speaking enough, communicating with other people enough to be the loudest voice out there for alternative healthcare. And I think that it's important that we get there. So how do we bring this message up, right? How do not only politically, educationally, research wise, how do we become the authority in alternative healthcare so that people know if they're like, how do I fix this problem? I'm not broken. I'm not dying. How do I fix my health? Go to a chiropractor. How do we get that message out there?
Johnny, you're a great interviewer. And I have to tell you this. That's a very important question because in the terminology that you're using, that terminology is limiting us from being the authority in healthcare. You ready? Because we're using that term that we're the alternative. What are we crazy saying that we're alternative healthcare? What does that mean? So in other words, the normal healthcare is drug yourself, inject yourself, cut things out. And when all that doesn't work, go to the alternative. So we need to stop. I don't even buy into that idea that we're the alternative. You know what we are? We're chiropractic care, and we are the only, if you're interested in optimal brain tissue cell communication, we're the only experts that are going to allow you to do that. If you're interested in having your spinal bones that are misaligned restored to the proper position to allow the brain cell to the tissue cell function and communicate optimally, then we're it. We're the only option for that. And thank goodness, I think the conversation needs to be in this. We are experts at conservative healthcare.
I like that.
We're experts at conservative healthcare versus invasive healthcare. And I think we can even work with medicine and we can work with the other disciplines in healthcare to not be labeled alternative. Yeah. I think that we should be labeled a part of the healthcare system.
Right.
We should be a part of the healthcare system. What's our part? Just like the dentist, right? The dentist is not an alternative to getting your teeth done. The dentist is when you have dental issues, whether it's prevention, whether it's maintenance, whether it's fixing something, the dentist is it. There's no alternative to that.
Right.
So when you're talking about vertebral subluxation, what's the alternative? Who corrects vertebral subluxation other than us?
Nobody.
So we need to own our message. And we need to get that out clearly, that no matter what your situation is, no matter what disease you have, no matter what infirmity, no matter what symptom you have or don't have, whether you're a child, whether you're a person who's 70, 80, 90 years old, whether you're symptomatic, asymptomatic, if optimized health is important to you, you need to have a chiropractor on your healthcare team. He's not the alternative. He's part of the healthcare system.
Yes.
And thankfully, he's part of the conservative healthcare system. And I always work in one of our marketing systems, just to make it real short, is we establish relationships with other healthcare practitioners so that we know what type of practice members we could send to them, and that they know what type of practice members to send to us. We develop relationships with those people so that they're not afraid of us, so that they're not uneducated about what it is that we do. And I like to work with conservative medical doctors. And you know what I find? Conservative medical doctors like to work with other conservative healthcare practitioners, which is what we are.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, I actually just spoke with Jim Chester yesterday, and he said a great thing. He said, I have a 2-doc paradigm, and I need one to keep me alive and one to keep me healthy. And I loved what he said. I loved that. So, Dr. Schubel, thank you for your time. Thank you for your efforts. Thank you for everything that you do for chiropractic, not only for students, but for docs and domestically, internationally, you name it. You're all over the place, and I appreciate it. I hope that you join me again someday, because I think there are some other topics like the vertebral subluxation, like x-rays, like political groups, that we can really, really dive deep into. And I would love to have you on again, if you're willing. But, I think, do you have any last words, action steps for people to take, to lead with? How can people get in contact with you? What are some things? Leave them with some closing statements here.
Yeah, perfect. So if you want to be involved in the IFCO and you want to be part of the solution rather than part of the problem of apathy in chiropractic, one of my favorite quotes of myself is, apathy in chiropractic will lead to allopathy for chiropractic. So if chiropractic is of value to you, then you need to invest in chiropractic. And I would recommend you go to ifcochiro.org and become a member today. Again, for students, it's $50 for their entire career. You'll spend more than that this weekend drinking. The other aspect is, if you want to improve your business systems, and if you're a student and you want to learn the business systems so that you start out right, because I have to tell you, you've got a clock ticking right now. And sadly, I see so many students wait until they graduate to even think about their practices and what systems that they're going to be using. But if you want to, get a head start and just be ready to hit the ground winning from day one with marketing, with conversion, with communication, with mindset, with hiring, training, and motivation of staff, I would say get both my books. Has to Be Chiropractors is one that's crucial. That's the Think and Grow Rich of successful chiropractic practice, the mindset. And get Schubel's Holy Grail of Business. They're both read. They're both on Amazon.com. That'll get you started. And then when you really want to invest, head to SchubelVisionElite.com. And we have $75 a month, no contracts. So you can cancel at any time if you find it's not of value. To me, it's a no-brainer to even come on in, test the waters, do a test drive, see if it works for you. And I think what you're going to find, like so many of our members have found, it's life transforming. You don't have to be a used car salesman anymore. You don't have to settle for table scraps. You can own this. You can be the authority. And to be an authority, you have to understand the philosophy, science, art, and business of chiropractic. And that's what we teach at SchubelVisionElite.com. And Johnny, I'd be back at any time. You're one of the best interviewers, and I've been interviewed by a lot of people. You're one of the best interviewers that I've ever come across. So wow. You have a high level of talent, and I appreciate you for what you're doing to bring this message to the profession.
Absolutely, Doc. Absolutely. Thank you. I'm very honored to hear those words out of your mouth. Thank you so much. So in closing, head to Schubel Vision Elite and become a member of his mentorship program, because that is where you are going to make the changes as a student, as a doctor. Doesn't matter. Start now. Start today. No contracts. $75. You can't lose. I don't think you can lose with that. Also, Has to Be Chiropractors and Schubel's Holy Grail of Business are Dr. Liam Schubel's 2 books. If you don't have them, you need them. And if you like reading about business, if you like reading about business in chiropractic, they're 2 no-brainers again. So everything that we've said tonight, everything that we're doing for the profession, everything that the Chiropractic Compass podcast is doing, and Facebook Lives, as well as the legendary chiropractor, I couldn't thank you guys enough for joining us tonight. Dr. Schubel, thank you again for being on tonight. And I know that I'm going to reach out. Actually, I'm doing some messaging this evening and tomorrow for season 2 of the Chiropractic Compass podcast. So be on the lookout for a message from me, and we'll get back on the horn and see if we can really dive a little bit deeper into some of these not so great topics in chiropractic.
Happy to help. It's all part of the grand tapestry of life.
Hey, absolutely, Doc. Well, you enjoy your evening. Thank you all for viewing. Thank you all for being on. Head to thelegendarychiropractor.com/mentor up to find your free coach and free mentor. Also, head to thelegendarychiropractor.com to invest in yourself in a virtual one-stop shop for everything chiropractic. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Dr. Schubel, for being on tonight. And we got a lot of comments. So I got a lot to reply to, so I'm very excited about that.
Great. Let's take over the world with Tick, guys.
Yes, let's do it, Doc.